You've probably experienced this. You pour yourself a cup of coffee first thing in the morning, take that first sip, and it's perfection. Rich, smooth, exactly what you needed. Fast forward to 10 at night. You're finishing dinner? Decide to have another cup from the same beans, brewed the same way, and somehow it tastes completely different. Harsh, bitter, almost unpleasant. What changed? Here's the thing. The coffee didn't change. You did. Your body processes that exact same cup completely differently depending on what time you drink it. So why does your body turn against your beloved coffee after dark? Let's find out. You might think it's all in your head, but the reality is far more fascinating. This near-universal experience among coffee drinkers isn't just psychological preference or tiredness affecting your perception. There's actual biology at work here, and it's more complex than you'd expect. When you drink coffee in the morning, it tends to taste smooth and pleasant, giving you that energizing lift you're looking for. When you drink it at night, those same beans can taste more bitter, less satisfying, and sometimes even uncomfortable. Most people assume it's simply because they're not tired in the morning, or that it's just habit and expectation playing tricks on them. But what if there's something deeper happening inside your body? Here's where it gets interesting. Your taste buds aren't constant. They're on a clock. Your ability to perceive different flavors follows circadian rhythms, those internal biological cycles that regulate everything from sleep to hormone production. And it turns out your sense of taste is right there on the schedule too. You don't have a fixed sense of taste. You have a sense of taste with a schedule. In the morning, your taste buds are at peak sensitivity for sweet and savory flavors, while your sensitivity to bitter tastes is relatively reduced. By evening and into the night, that pattern flips dramatically. Your sensitivity to bitter compounds increases by somewhere around 20 to 30% from morning to evening. Here's the kicker. This means the same coffee literally tastes more bitter to you at night. It's not your imagination. The bitter compounds in coffee, things like chlorogenic acids and quinoids, hit your tongue harder when the sun goes down. There's actually an evolutionary explanation for this. In darkness, when you can't rely on your eyes to identify what you're eating or drinking, your sense of taste becomes your primary defense system. Your increased bitter sensitivity at night is essentially your body's way of protecting you from potential poisons when you can't visually inspect what you're consuming. In nature, bitter almost always signals toxicity. Coffee just happens to be caught in that ancient biological security system. But your taste buds are just part of the story. There's another chemical player that changes everything, and it's one you probably know about: cortisol. Cortisol is your natural wake-up hormone, the chemical that helps you feel alert and ready to face the day. Your body produces it in a predictable daily rhythm. It peaks shortly after waking, usually between 8 and 9 a.m., then gradually declines throughout the day. Here's the counterintuitive truth. Drinking coffee during these cortisol peaks actually reduces caffeine's effectiveness. When your natural alertness hormone is already flooding your system, adding caffeine is a bit like turning on a flashlight in a bright room. It doesn't do much. Yet morning coffee still tastes better, and there's a reason for that. Even though you're drinking it during a cortisol peak, your lower bitter sensitivity at that hour, combined with the ritual satisfaction and your body's better hydration state, creates an overall pleasant experience. At night, after 8 o'clock, cortisol is at its lowest point. When caffeine hits your system then, it creates a different sensation entirely. Instead of a gentle lift, it can feel jittery and uncomfortable. Most people drink coffee at exactly the wrong time from a cortisol perspective, but here's why that might not matter. The best time to drink coffee is actually between 9:30 and 11:30 in the morning, and again from 1:30 to 5 in the afternoon. But we keep drinking it first thing anyway, and the taste experience is still superior to nighttime coffee. So here's the question. Are you drinking coffee at the wrong time too? What's your coffee schedule? Drop it in the comments. But that still doesn't explain why night coffee feels so much worse. That's where another chemical comes in. Throughout the day, a molecule called adenosine builds up in your brain. Adenosine is essentially your tiredness signal. The longer you're awake, the more adenosine accumulates, creating what scientists call sleep pressure. Think of it as pressure building in a tank. By 10 at night, that pressure is enormous. Caffeine works by blocking adenosine receptors in your brain. When you drink coffee in the morning, adenosine levels are relatively low. The caffeine easily blocks those receptors, and you feel alert. It's a smooth process. By night, you're not just adding a boost. You're fighting massive adenosine buildup. Here's what most people don't know. This is why night coffee feels different in your body, not just different in effectiveness. Your body is essentially in a tug of war. The adenosine is pushing you towards sleep with enormous force. The caffeine is blocking it, and you're stuck in the middle feeling wired but exhausted at the same time. This internal struggle directly affects your taste perception. When your body is fighting itself, the entire experience becomes unpleasant. The taste of the coffee gets wrapped up in that physical discomfort. Your brain creates a negative association. It's also why night coffee disrupts your sleep so dramatically. You're not just adding caffeine to a neutral system. You're interrupting a biological shutdown sequence that's already well underway. Sleep pressure doesn't go away because you blocked it. It just keeps building. But there's still another factor at work, and this one surprises most people. The composition of your saliva changes throughout the day in ways that directly affect how you taste coffee. In the morning, your saliva production is optimal, and your body is generally better hydrated even if you haven't drunk water yet. Your saliva contains enzymes that break down coffee compounds as they hit your tongue, essentially processing the flavors before they reach your taste receptors. By evening, saliva production decreases significantly, and the enzyme concentrations shift. You're also more likely to be dehydrated by the end of the day, even if you don't feel particularly thirsty. The reality is, your mouth is processing coffee differently. When you're dehydrated, bitter compounds become more concentrated on your tongue. There's less saliva to dilute them, fewer enzymes to break them down, and the flavors hit harder and linger longer. Coffee is also mildly diuretic, meaning it causes you to lose water, which compounds the dehydration effect when you drink it at night. This is part of why that first sip of morning coffee tastes so bright and clean. You've got a better chemical transport system working in your mouth. The flavors are being carried, broken down, and perceived in a more balanced way. At night, that system is sluggish, and everything tastes more intense and often more unpleasant. Interestingly, there's a historical reason we became morning coffee drinkers in the first place. In the countries where coffee originated, places like Ethiopia and Yemen, people historically consumed it throughout the day. It wasn't specifically a morning beverage. That changed during the Industrial Revolution in the 1800s. Coffee became a productivity tool, something to help workers stay alert during long factory shifts. The morning coffee ritual emerged alongside factory schedules and structured work days. By the early 1900s, marketing campaigns solidified coffee's identity as a breakfast beverage, something to jumpstart your day. You might be wondering why other cultures don't seem to have this problem. Mediterranean cultures, for instance, have a strong tradition of espresso after dinner. But there's a key difference. They're drinking about 1 ounce of espresso, not an 8 or 12-ounce cup of American coffee. The smaller dose, combined with different preparation methods that extract different compounds, creates a different experience entirely. The modern third-wave coffee movement has brought back some all-day coffee appreciation, but usually with different brewing methods tailored to the time of day. Cold brew and lighter preparations tend to work better in the evening. So what does all this mean for your daily coffee habit? Morning coffee tastes better because of several converging biological factors working together. Reduced bitter sensitivity. Optimal cortisol timing for taste perception, if not for caffeine effectiveness. Lower adenosine levels, creating a more pleasant caffeine experience. And better saliva composition for flavor processing. It's not all in your head. It's measurable physiology. You're a different tasting machine at different times of day. What most people still don't realize is that you can work with these rhythms instead of against them. If you want to enjoy coffee in the evening, there are ways to make it work better. Smaller doses help. Lighter roasts are naturally less bitter. Adding milk or cream significantly reduces bitter perception by binding to the bitter compounds. Cold brew coffee at night tends to be smoother than hot coffee because the cold brewing process extracts fewer acidic and bitter compounds. Or you can simply accept that morning coffee holds the crown and switch to tea after dinner. The psychological component is real too. Ritual, expectation, and context all influence how you experience flavor. But those psychological factors are built on top of biological reality, not instead of it. So the next time your morning cup tastes like perfection and your after-dinner coffee tastes harsh, you'll know exactly why. You're drinking the same coffee, but you're a completely different tasting machine. Your circadian rhythms, hormone levels, taste bud sensitivity, and even your saliva composition are all conspiring to make morning coffee the superior experience. Your body has been trying to tell you something all along. Maybe it's time to listen, or at least schedule your coffee accordingly. Thanks for watching. If this helped you see coffee a little differently, consider subscribing for more details behind everyday habits.